Okay, so just want to remind all of you that Codecademy Pro is now free for 12 months. All you have to do is send me the email address that you signed up for Codecademy. That way you don't lose any of your progress. And I think I put on the announcement that I just sent out. I'm going to try and add like a screen that shows you the objectives that we're going to cover today. So for now, I just put it under the announcement, but I'm going to show you a really cool website that I found that removes the background. So for example, this is what we're going to create today. Let me show you. This was the original picture that I found on Unsplash. Let me bring this up. Remember that you always want to be careful with copyright pictures. You want to make sure that you're using Unsplash, Pixabay, anything that is like free stock images. That way you're not getting in trouble for using other people's pictures. So this picture was from Unsplash, and notice how there's a background on this picture, right? So what I did was I found this website that is called, and I'll go ahead and put it, remove.bg. And this makes it even easier. That way you don't have to use Photoshop for simple things like removing the background. So I'm going to go ahead and put it in this chat. And what I would do is bookmark this. That way you have it readily available. So when I went ahead and it's free, and you can see that it's going to save it as a PNG, because then after I went ahead and put it through this, it's saved, and I renamed it. I put no BG, no background, and you can see that it took away all of the background, right? So pretty cool tool, and it saves you some steps so that you don't have to use Photoshop for something as simple as this. What do you think, Jess?
I like it.
Right? Not bad. It's free. I think there's some things about like special stuff that they'll do that you have to pay for, but just to remove the background, it's completely free. So you don't have to subscribe for anything. You can just upload the image and then check it out for yourself. So the reason why I removed the background, so that was the first thing I wanted to share with you guys, was because then I went ahead and I wanted to put it in this shape, and I wanted the background to be like this yellow. So the second objective that we're going to cover today is how to make a cool shape just using the border radius. So usually when you use a border radius, it just makes it round. And I got this resource right here. So let me copy this for you guys and put it in the chat. And what it does is you have to put in 8 values, and you have to put a slash in between. And that's how you're going to get some pretty cool, what they call fancy shapes that you can do with your border radius. Instead of just having like a circle or just even sides, you get like a really cool looking shape. So that's what we're going to do now. So typically you're used to something like this, like, oh, I'm going to put 1 value in for my border radius, and that's going to round all my corners. And that's fine. But if you want to make some really cool buttons, if you want to make some really cool effects and shapes, then the trick is putting in 8 values and then just putting a slash. And they do a really good job explaining, was it in this article, how it works. Well, maybe it's not in this one. Maybe you have to go to this one. Yes, she does a really good job explaining how everything works with a border radius. So for example, let me go down right here. So the first value is your top left. So this would be the top left. And then the top right would be the second value. And then the bottom right is your third value. And then your bottom left is your fourth value. And that's with anything. So when you see four values next to each other like this, like 5 pixels, 10 pixels, 15 pixels, 20, just remember that that is always going to be the case when it comes to how web browsers interpret these values. Your origin, your 0, 0, is right here on the top left. So that's always going to be the starting point. And then it just goes clockwise. So any values after that is going to go to your top right, and then bottom left. So it just goes like a clock going this way. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to go ahead and open up a Sublime. Okay, good. I got a thumbs up. So I shared with you the CSS tricks, the remove background, things that you definitely want to bookmark or at least look over, see if you would get any good use from it. I know I do. And again, what I would do immediately is subscribe to these newsletters. That's how I get notified of all these cool things that I show you guys. Is I subscribe to the CSS Tricks newsletters. I subscribe to the CodePen newsletter. So they send you a weekly email with like new updates or new cool things that you should know. I'm going to use an internal style sheet. We're going to go ahead and recreate this right here. So an internal style sheet, we're just going to go ahead and let's save this first. So let's save, open a new file on Sublime, and we're going to save it. I'm going to just save it to my desktop. And I can just save it as maybe index, or you know what, maybe border radius. That way you kind of know what it's about. Or maybe call it index.html and put it inside a border radius folder. Up to you. Or code along, whatever you want to save it as. So since we're not using too many CSS properties, I'm going to just use an internal and embedded style sheet, which is something that is very normal to use when you're only creating one web page. You don't always have to use an, I mean, it's preferred and recommended that you use an external style sheet, .css file, but in this case, we're just going to go ahead and use an internal style sheet. So that means you can go ahead and if you have Emmet, you can go ahead and set it up this way. And inside your head, you're going to want to open up a style tag. That's what we're going to do our embedded CSS. I want to add a background color to my body. Usually we put a gradient because it looks cool, but in this case, we're just going to use a solid color. And I will show you the third objective that I'm going to show you is overflow hidden. And we don't really use that a lot, but in this case, that's how we are able to make him kind of look like he's part of the shape. And it kind of clips him off right here. So usually, and I'll show you what that means. And that's you're able to do that by using the overflow hidden property. So I'll show you that. For the background color, in this case, I used, I think it's a navy color. So let's see if that, yes, that works. Okay. And also you may want to maybe put a document name here. And that's going to show it right here. Okay, so that's the background color. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to put a container. So this is all just CSS right now. The HTML part of it is really, really, really short because all we're going to do is have a container. Div ID equals contain our shape, and we have to close this div. Oops, it already does that for me. And this is where I put I put a box inside of it. So the container itself is, let me see if I can inspect this for you so I can show you where the container begins and where the box begins. So the inspect tool, very useful so that you can see where everything is at. So for example, here's the container. So this is the whole container, is this right here. Then the box, and then the image, and then the paragraph. So this is going to be all we're using for HTML. And then you can see the properties for the container down here, the properties for the box over here, and well, the image, I just made it, I just sized it, that's it. And then the paragraph. And if you check mark off these properties, you would see what it looks like if we didn't have those. Like if we didn't have this size set. Oh, this is where I'm going to show overflow. If you didn't have the overflow hidden property, he would come out of the shape, which might look better. It's up to you, really. I mean, I think it looks better if he blends into the shape. So that's what the overflow hidden property does. And then, of course, the border radius, which is what our main objective right now is to learn, oh, wow, if I put 8 values instead of just 1, it's going to make a super weird shape. And you can also put the values in here. So if you want to say, I wonder what it would look like if it was 90%, or if it was 20%. And then notice which one it's affecting. And that's the only way you'll be able to really remember this, is by exploring and by changing things. And don't be afraid, you're not going to break it. The inspect tool, you can go ahead and experiment as much as you want. It won't save any changes. It'll only save once you actually do it on your text editor and then save it there. But inside the inspect, you'll be able to do whatever you want. So this value that I'm messing with right here, it's the 4th value, right? Because it's 1, 2, 3, 4. And according to what we were reading in the article, the CSS tricks article, she was saying that it starts, the first value starts here, second value is here, third one's here, and the 4th one is here. So if I'm messing with my 4th one, and right now it's at 0%, that means that there is no cornering, there's nothing. It's just a very sharp box looking kind of shape. If I increase that, make it 90%, then it's really rounding it. So that's how you learn and how you can see what's happening. We'll have to do it over on this one. Whoa. So that's really cool, using 8 values. So let's keep going. So I just wanted to show you all the parts that we're creating and where they all go to. Okay, so we have the container, and let's go ahead and add some CSS properties to our container. Oh, let me make sure everyone's okay. Awesome. Okay. And remember, guys, this is being recorded. And if you haven't given me your credentials for Codecademy so that you can get your 12 months free, please do so, because the 12 months already started, I think, 3 days ago. So you don't want to miss out on that. Okay, so it's an ID for the container. So you use your pound sign, your hashtag. We're going to use display flex because it's a simple shape. It's not, we don't need the grid. We just need the paragraph to go to the right of the image. So using the display flex, you could even use float if you're more comfortable using float. Several ways of doing this. There's not only one way. We're going to add something called align items center. And then we're going to set a height of 100 for the viewport. You're not going to see anything yet, there's nothing inside our container. So if you refresh it, there's nothing there, but we are going to add stuff to this container. So inside of the div, go ahead and add a box, because that's what we're going to. And again, you can name this something else. Like if you don't want to use box, you want to maybe call it shape. That's fine. As long as whatever you call it here, you're going to also remember to use it up here in your CSS. It's got to match. I just called it box, but you can call it shape. Inside of the box, that's where we're going to put our image. But let's do this one at a time. So let's go ahead and do box. It's a class. So let's do period box. Let's give it a background color of, I use gold. And let's see if there's anything yet. Nothing yet, because there's nothing inside of it. So if we add the image, we should maybe start seeing something. So let's add the image, which in my case, I got from Unsplash. You can use any image you want, but the one that I got, I believe I just went to Unsplash, and I believe I probably put something like portraits. There he is. And remember that you want to take that extra step that I showed you and go to remove.bg, and you can even put the URL. You don't have to download the image. You can even put the URL. It'll remove the background, and then you can put it in the image source. So this is where I got it from. So let's see if this will work. Pretty cool, right? And again, it's free. I never signed up. I never had to log in. And then when you remove the background, let me see if it gives me, oh, I guess you gotta download it. And then it'll just give you, yeah, so it'll come out something like this. And I think I just renamed it so it wasn't such a long file name. I think I put like guy, no BG. No background. And then remember to put this in the same folder that your HTML is in. So I think my HTML is in desktop. So I'm going to put this file in the same folder as my HTML. If you put it inside a folder, maybe called images. So let me do that. Then what I have to do is specify that in the path name. And remember that it's a .png. So because we removed the background, the original file was JPEG, and then with this one it's PNG. Okay, then save that and let's see if that works. If it doesn't work, let me know. See, there's no background. Instead, the gold background color that we put is showing through. Did it work for you guys? Awesome. Good stuff, right? Makes your life a little easier. All right. So now let's go ahead and add that paragraph. Again, you can add whatever you want. I just put something like Check me out. I'm a super cool shape dude. Or you could even add some lorem ipsum if you don't have any content to put in there just yet. Okay, so see how it's showing on here? So what we're going to do is actually add the display flex to this one as well. Because this one up here is actually, I forgot, this one up here is centering our shape, our box, in the center of the page. That's what it's doing with this one. Like for example, if I were to take this out, just comment it out for just now, this is what happens to it. It scoots all the way up, and then it takes up more of the screen. So by adding this to the container, it's going to center my items and is going to get ready to align the contents inside of it. So the box, we're going to also say flex, and we're going to say that we want the direction, the flex direction, to be a row, because we want this to be all in one row. So let's see what happens when we do that. And I think I showed you guys an article on, I think it was on CSS Tricks as well, in case you want to learn more about flex, because I don't even think the book covers that. I know Codecademy does. They cover the differences between flex and grid, but I'm pretty sure in the last code along we did cover this a little bit. But there's a whole bunch of stuff on Flexbox, and when you're just doing something as simple as this, then this is all that you need to do. You don't have to worry about using grid. Grid is for more like this container is going to be smaller and this other container next to it is going to be bigger, and it's kind of have like this collage look to it. Whereas Flexbox is just a very simple way of just aligning content without having to go through all the float trouble. Okay, so where was I? Okay, so flex direction row. And see what it did? It just brought that paragraph that was down here, it brought it right next to it, because now it's all in one row. The image and the paragraph is all in a row. Then I think I put something like, following the display flex properties, there's something called justify content. And then I put center. And this will make this paragraph, oh, won't do anything. Did I save it? It'll center it, but maybe it doesn't. Just kidding. Oh wait, I think I missed one thing. Let me see. Oh, okay. Nope, just kidding. That's under the paragraph. So actually, we might not even need this just yet. We'll leave it just in case. The border radius. This is the moment we've been waiting for. So this is what's going to turn our shape into a weird looking kind of shape. So you can mess around with these values. You don't have to put my values. This is just what I used. But you can mess around with these if you want to make them look different. And then remember, you need that slash for your other values. So it's a pretty cool trick. Okay, once you've done that, save, refresh, and all of a sudden you have this cool shape. And if we want him to stay inside the shape, this is where we're going to add the overflow hidden. So his hair is probably going to get chopped off, and he's going to be a part of the shape now. So that's what that overflow hidden does. The next thing we're going to do is just resize this image. Remember that this will affect all images. This selector affects all images on your web page. If you're only trying to do it for one image, then you will want to add a class or an ID to that image, and then that way it only affects that. You don't have to do exactly what I'm doing here. If you want to make it bigger, you can. Whatever you want to do. And then finally, the last thing we're going to do is we're going to make that paragraph. We're going to make that font a little bit, or the text a little bit bigger. Let's see what that does to the text. And then we're going to center that text. So this is where I center it. And I think we're done. This is all we, oh, I know what else I forgot to do. I forgot to do one more thing. Why is this not centering? Text align, center. 35, okay. Maybe that's how, was that how it was on this one too? Oh yeah. Maybe for some reason. There's one property that I forgot over in container. Let's see what this does. Okay, so that's what's gonna, you can also accomplish that by putting a margin. If you make like the container a certain size, like you make your container 80%, then you put margin auto, that'll also center the container. But this is another way to do it too. All right, what do you guys think? Do you guys have the same shape going on? Kinda, okay. No worries if you have different values and you have a different kind of shape looking thing. It kind of looks like a guitar pick to me. All right, that is it for the code along. Any questions, anything that has come up? If not, I can just stop the code along. I'll put this on as a link as well, because this goes over all the properties that I use for Display Flex. Of course. I did go ahead and cancel the code along for tomorrow because I noticed that there has, or not the code along, the code offs. There hasn't been much participation for code offs. And what I'd rather do is work with students one-on-one because they're having students who need some help in different OCPs. So it gives me time to work with students. Okay, that's it. Keep doing your Codecademy. Keep working through the assignments. And then please let me know if there's anything that I can help you with. I'm going to stop the recording. Thank you guys for joining. Good job, Jazz. I'm glad you joined. Happy birthday again. Please stay safe, everyone. And I hope to see you guys soon in person. Of course. And Eddie, don't forget to email me or send me your credentials so I can add you to Codecademy Pro. Bye, everyone.